Salam and welcome back to our channel, Somali Dispatch, SomaliDispatch.com. My name is Khadar Guled. The Somali European film, The Gravedigger's Wife, is directed and written by Khadar Ayderus Ahmed and was released in 2021. The film is Khadar's feature debut. He joins us from Finland to discuss the making and the success of the movie. Khadar, welcome to Somali Dispatch and thank you for your time. What is at nighttime for you and an afternoon for us here in North America. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Walala. It's
Thanks.
um it's almost 10 p.m. for me in Helsinki time,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
it's barely 1 p.m. for us here. If you can start us off by telling us a little bit about your initial interest in movie making and how you got into it.
So you know, um, we Somalis are a nation of poets and stories, and I grew up listening to stories. My uncle used to be a great storyteller. So so I just really grew up, listening to stories and telling the stories. So once I became a little bit older, then I realized that I could actually tell these stories, with vision, with visuals, So that's when I became interested in turning those stories into these oral stories into images. Yeah.
Right. And what was the journey like once you made that decision to turn the oral history into, or the oral stories, as you put it, into movies or into images? What was the journey like in realizing those actions?
It's been long and rough because I never went to a film school. God knows how many times I have applied, but I never get in. So there was no other option for me than to um, teach myself everything I know about films or filmmaking. Watching movies, um, reading about movies, reading books about how to write screenplays. I remember, my first step toward filmmaking was renting a small camera and a lighting equipment, and then asking my family members and my friends to act in it, and then editing and putting the music and just doing everything by myself just to learn more about the filmmaking process. So I started with shooting family members, and now here we are.
Right. It's resonates so much with me and so many others who I have a background in radio, which is a lot working with audio and what have you, and to convert and come on this platform, I had to do similar things on a way lower scale than you. So it's perhaps telling that others need to actually face up to that fact if they want to realize that dream. Though this is your first outing, what a magnificent piece of film. Tell us a bit about the personal story behind the tragedy, the anchor story of the movie, The Gravedigger's Wife, how that came about.
So, I have written and directed several short films before this feature film. And
Right.
everything that I have done so far, including this feature film, have been inspired by true incidents, whether they were conversations that I have had with family members, conversations with close friends, with colleagues, everything. Because, I'm a filmmaker who always looks at his surroundings, and tries to gather information and make a film or a story about what's happening in my surroundings. So with this film, it was inspired by a sudden death that took place in my family 10 years ago. And my brother's baby died, my nephew, and I was asked to organize the funerals, and making phone calls to the imam of the masjid, to the hospitals, to the cemetery. The process was, took longer than a week, longer than expected. And then, I remember that at the funeral, my older brother, asked me if I remember how easy it was, to bury, people back home. And then he reminded me of those grave diggers that would always be ready in front of the hospitals to do the job within a couple of hours. And then I was struck, with this grave digger idea, with this grave digger character, and it haunted me really until I had to sit down to write about it. So I had only, the Gravedigger character, and then I had to build everything, around it.
Right.
So yeah, it was inspired by tragedy that happened in the family.
Art imitating life, right?
Absolutely,
It's or the other,
absolutely.
or life imitating art, the other way around. No, it's amazing to hear that. Another process that perhaps is worth talking about here is the casting. To get such the people to act out those things off the page, right? What was that process like for you?
Mm, just like all my other short films, I'm used to, because I live in a country where we don't have, trained Somali actors. And in all my films, Somali people are the main characters of my films, whether it's short or feature. So I'm used to um, casting non-professional actors because there's no professional actors in this country. So it was, the same thing with this film. I knew Omar for, we have, for a very long time. We have been friends for a long time, and he acted in a short film that I wrote in 2008. And but he hasn't done anything significant after that. So when I was writing the script, I had him in mind, to for him to act in the film, and so I never considered anybody else for that role than him. And um, and with Yasmin, it's funny because
A fellow
Yasmin is a
Canadian.
supermodel. Yes, absolutely. And so she did a summer campaign for HM, like I think 7 years ago. And her images were all over Helsinki. And I remember coming out of the metro at the central station and just pumping into this incredibly huge image of her, you know, and I was struck by her beauty, and I was like, "My gosh, she's beautiful. Who is she?" You
Right.
know. And then I googled it, and I found out that she's a Somali background supermodel. And within that moment, I knew that she was going to be Nasra. It was that moment that I decided that
That's
this
my Nasra.
woman,
Yeah.
absolutely, that was without even discussing, with her, without knowing if she had acted in anything before, because I
Mhm.
knew that once I got her, I would really,
Yeah.
did the best out of her.
Right.
So that's how I, casted Yasmin, and the rest of the cast,
The
except
sun was
Yasmin and
very
Omar,
interesting the way the sun got casted. So tell us a bit about that.
absolutely. So the rest of the cast, except Yasmin and Omar, are locals, from Djibouti.
Right.
So, so Khadar, we have the same name. So,
Yes.
so we went to this school that was close to the hotel that we were staying, that we were living at the time, and so we asked the principal to invite each class at once in this like big room that we were, and there were about 70 kids maybe in one class, in each class. So there was a lot of them, really a lot of them.
Right.
And um, and so I would gather them all in one room, and then I would introduce myself, tell them about my intention and what we were doing in Djibouti and the film that we were making. And then I would ask them simple questions like, what they were interested in or what they wanted to become when they grow up, and all these, sort of questions. And so I remember, when I was asking all these questions, I was, you know, um, keeping an extra eye on each and single one of them. And I remember Khadar was standing next to his friend who was talking the entire time, and he would elbow his friend to shut up so that he would listen.
Right,
And he caught my attention. And then I asked it, Fardusa, who plays the doctor in the film,
right.
to call him back immediately after the class. And so she invited him back, and I just chatted with him, asked him about the school, about his family, about his hobbies, and there was something special about him.
Mhm.
So interestingly, he was the first child that I called back, and the rest is a history.
Yeah, what an amazing cast. To you
Yeah.
filmed the movie in you had a schedule which was interesting to me of 21 days if I'm not mistaken to do it all. What was that like keeping that schedule? Like, as we both know, we have roots in East Africa. We're both Somali, and we know whether you're in Djibouti or Ethiopia or Somalia, the time and schedule is really open to interpretations. Let's just put it to that. What was that like in trying to have these two worlds where you got your production crew that's from all over Europe, you got your Africans who are both African and European, and then you got your Africans, and you're all trying to work together. That's a movie on its own. Tell us a bit about that.
Absolutely. Obviously, so there should be a movie about behind the scenes of how we
Right,
made the film. It
right.
was insane. So the entire crew were from Europe, you know,
Yeah.
but the locals were really so professional that they would never get late,
Mm,
which was
amazing.
really, surprisingly nice.
Yes.
And so we had a very tight shooting schedule, 21 days, with
Right.
all non-professional actors. So you can imagine, like, we didn't have time to really retake the scenes or do it again because we had to keep moving, you know. And and on top of that, the entire crew got sick with
Oh,
diarrhea.
oh my goodness. We're
So
filming.
yeah, when filming, everybody got sick.
Oh my
So
goodness.
Omar was shooting when he was, sick. I was shooting sick. Everybody. And but we had to keep going because we couldn't afford to stop the production.
Right.
You know, and
Work.
and the heat was insane as well. This Djibouti. It's like really crazy. And but we were soldiers. We were really soldiers thrown out into the into
It's
the
conviction. You guys were
into
driven by conviction.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And it added to the cinematic uh, beauty of the picture to catch the train and to catch, oh man, you guys were able to capture every aspect of the story that you guys were telling, and it's amazing. And that's why I am convinced it's the
Mm,
reason it's resonating, and it's because of the unconventional way of making it, but bringing the A game and showing the life that's worth telling, and it's amazing. If you made this movie comes across clearly who is it made for and made by. So tell us a bit about that aspiration and that drive to make this Somali movie, and what that entailed.
yeah. So the movie is made for us by us. I really. Um, for even 1 second, it didn't really cross my mind to make this film in another language, because I have never seen a feature Somali film on the big screen. So I was like, I want to do that. I want to create that, and I want, share that experience with every Somali person. And so that was really my intention from the beginning, and I fought for that really. And but I'm happy that I eventually succeeded to do that. But yeah, I just really wanted to make this for the Somali community, for the Somali people. And the response has been really overwhelming, and I'm just really
Yeah,
happy.
no, it is, and it shows that. convictions and good storytelling trumps all of the trappings of making what's popular and what's out there already and remaking success movies and stories, that you can venture out and actually, if you have a good story to tell, no matter what language you tell it in, people would appreciate the quality and the efforts that go into it. The movie is enjoying, like I repeatedly keep saying, a success that's unparalleled. Tell us, we know about it being picked and getting a nod for Oscar. Tell us a bit about the other accolades that the movie has gotten so far, be they the actors, the writing, the pictures. It's in all over, in every festival you can imagine. The movie has a showing and a critical acclaim. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I mean, I expected some sort of, you know, warm reception for the film, but I never expected really this big. This really took me off by surprise. So, so it's really, overwhelming. It's really overwhelming, and and we were in Cannes, which is the most prestigious film festival in the world, and then we have been to TIFF. We have been to BFI London Film Festival. We have been to FESPACO. All the A-list film festivals that you can imagine, and winning prizes here and there. It's just really crazy. But I'm just really happy that this is all happening for the film. I still have my feet on the ground. I haven't let any of that get into my head, because once you have worked so hard for this, for something, you just really sit back and enjoy the fruits, but you don't get that into your head and just make you crazy. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it does to some people, but it hasn't. And so now, today, 2 days ago was the premiere of the film in Mogadishu,
Yes,
at the National Theatre of Somalia, and that's
right,
incredible. That's insane,
right,
and I was watching it. I was really following, the entire night, and I was watching the audience reaction on YouTube and everyone. It's been overwhelming, really. I mean, there were kids that were saying like they were born in Somalia, even after the civil war,
right,
and this is the first time in their lives that they have been to the cinema and to experience that, with a Somali film.
right.
I later on realized that for some, this is just a film, but for many of us, it's a lifetime experience
It's
because
a
we have
milestone for
never
sure.
experienced it.
Yeah,
Absolutely, we have never experienced a Somali language film on the big screen. Um, so it's been overwhelming, and today is the premiere in Finland.
oh
Is
man,
the is all the cinemas in Finland. So I'm really, it's like an Eid celebration. Eid celebration. The Somalis were going overcrowded, watching. Like as groups, friends, families. So, and I'm getting all this, like text message on all my social media, people thanking me. So it's just really joy. It's
yes,
really joy, to just to live in this moment and just really get this reaction, because I would have been disappointed if the film really turned out to be bad and nobody talked about it. But I'm just really overwhelmed that this, and especially for the people that I met, the
yeah.
Somalis, really,
You've achieved your
it's
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying like it's really it's surreal. It's really surreal.
Bask in it, my friend, because you put in the time, you took the time, you put the effort in, you stood your ground in making it, you had a vision, you achieved it, and it's obviously great that it went across and it reciprocated to you, and perhaps it won't balloon up your head, but it will encourage you to do more of the same. And I can't thank you enough for joining us. I just wanted to highlight the fact that the stories within the story of the movie and how it hits at cultural norms, like burying someone right after they pass on in Islamic culture, hitting socioeconomic classes, the love stories, the relationship between husband and a wife and their offsprings. It's so universal and it's so grounded in being a Somali. It was That's why the movie is drawing on so many levels, and it's tugging on people's hearts on so many levels. It's each of these stories could have been a movie on its own, and for you to put it together and take your time for it, and it's just amazing. Congratulations. It's it almost makes you wonder, does Khadar have anything left in his bag, because it's very draining, I can imagine. You know, I can't tell you, I'm gushing over it, and I can't wait for it to open here, and for you to come and talk to us about it. And I can, as a person who grew up here from Somalia, who has kids here, um, to see and show our kids that you don't have to, you don't have to go outside of the norms to make movies that would satisfy others first. Like, you can start with your people and get the success that way. And in life, if it's music or food or movies, if you don't have that fusion, you don't have that universality. And I think you hit that on, and I would like to
Oh
go.
man, you're you're saying so beautifully.
Yeah. No, it resonated
Yeah,
enough,
really.
and I am
Yeah,
over the moon talking to you about this, because
yeah, yeah,
like I see the success and the hard work that went into this,
yeah.
and I can't thank you enough for this.
I just really hope this, like you said, I hope this encourages, the next generation is to also embrace their own language and their culture, and that just really just be proud of it, and tell their own stories with their own mother tongue, show their culture, and everything that's within the Somali context. So I just really hope that this opens doors for many upcoming Somali filmmakers as well.
Me too, and I hope it rejuvenates and refocuses the talented Somalis out there that wanna go into this field, not directly perhaps, or maybe in any capacity. It doesn't matter if you're a journalist, a filmmaker, a writer, or a poet.
Absolutely.
This is something to be proud of as Somalis, and it goes across throughout the world. And I thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Olaf. Thank you.
Yeah,
This has been
okay.
a pleasure.